What's up, guys? Hope you're all doing well. All right, I haven't recorded a game in a little while. Doesn't mean I haven't been playing much Magic, but I've been focusing a little bit on an online format that I got roped into. Well, I guess it's not effectively online. It was played with real cards, but it was old school singleton format, a kind of interesting variant on Canadian Highlander using the old school rules list and the old school card pool going through Fallen Empires with a point allowance pretty much identical to Canadian Highlander, where the best cards were worth 4 points each: Ancestral Recall, Library of Alexandria, Soul Ring, and Black Lotus, of course. And then other power cards in the format, other strong things worth fewer points than that. And it was kind of an interesting deck construction exercise. I always am interested in alternate formats, and I'll probably be revisiting it. I may even do a video about it a little bit later, but just wanted to put that out there. But since that event ended, and I decided to go and start revisiting Commander a little bit at the behest of Nate, who has been playing Breya a bunch. He's always tinkering and innovating with this deck, and his latest innovation was something that I found really intriguing as well and wanted to test out. This is the current build of my design. I think I'm a couple cards different from Nate. He's always fooling around with different amounts of artifact kill in his deck, and I had Fragmentize in here. I'm not really sure exactly how many main deck artifact kill are necessary. You actually see that there's, I think, 4 or 5 main deck cards that deal directly with artifacts, and you really kind of just need to have a certain number of things to deal with, either mass artifacts or early artifacts, and you can actually counter them outright with Force of Will and Force of Negation, destroy them with Disenchant, destroy them with Vindicator, Vandal Blast, or steal them with Jack Faden, and also kill them with Duretti. But surprisingly, you still have lots of games where just your opponent gets early artifacts and it snowballs into a difficult board state. So I'm not really sure what the exact right amount of 1v1 artifact kill is. I feel like this is about right, and playing with Fragmentize feels like overkill to me, but that remains to be seen. In the meantime, the deck was rebuilt, or at least modified, to include this crazy effect, the Bolas's Citadel, which is actually powerful enough to warrant inclusion in the Vintage Cube online, where you actually, I think you pretty much have to tinker it into play. I mean, obviously you can hardcast it, but the intention is to tinker it. In this format, where Tinker is banned, obviously, we have the next best thing, Transmute Artifact, which of course works incredibly well with Breya, because you can cast Breya, obviously, pretty quickly off the mana base with all of the talismans and stuff. And then if you have a way to tutor up Transmute, you can Transmute Artifact on Breya, pay only 2 additional mana, and you've got this completely gargantuanly powerful effect running with a 40 life pool, and you can usually play, provided you don't get choked on lands, you can churn through 7-8 cards in one turn and sort of replicate the Necro effect. It's basically like draw and cast at the same time, whereas with Necro you can fill your hand up, but you still have to play stuff. With Bolas's Citadel, where you can just dig until you hit a land and stall out. And if you have multiple search effects or cards like Sensei's Divining Top or Jace the Mind Sculptor, you can just go right past the land and continue on your merry way. Anyway, it's proven to be really, really nuts. And I played about a dozen games today, maybe 10, and won all of them. A few of them with Bolas's Citadel, a few of them just doing Breya things. But the last game that I just played, I felt was the best demonstration of this card, and felt it was definitely worth a video. So without further ado, let's jump into that. I've got it queued up right here. All right, I'm up against Coexistence. This is a guy who is a frequent late-night denizen of Magic Online. I've played against him a bunch of times. Tends to play decent decks, not the most serious, though. So I kind of figured that unless he was playing a really top-tier commander, it would probably be kind of a blowout. But I'm still just experimenting with the card, and sure enough, look at this. In my opening hand, I've drawn Bolas's Citadel, and though this looks like it might be a real challenge to cast Bolas's Citadel, Expedition Map in my hand means that I can get Workshop, and if I have any way of getting either Urborg or I just draw into some black lands off of Jace or Fact or Fiction, then I might be able to just slam the Citadel pretty early in the game. He's playing with Yarok the Desecrated. Kind of an interesting build around me commander, obviously not tier 1, but can do some crazy things, and we'll see how it goes. He's kicking it off first. And unfortunately, I think he has a double mulligan to start. Yeah, he's down to 6. No, it looks like just a single mulligan. He starts off with Fabled Passage. Not all that great on turn 1. Certainly means he can't do much. So I'm just hoping to draw black mana here. Really quite happy with the hand. And then like magic, Workshop just floats right off the top of my deck, meaning that now with Expedition Map, I can go get the Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth and turn Workshop into black mana later and turn these two, well, not necessarily black producing lands into black producers to cast the Citadel pretty quickly. So that's going to be the game plan. I'm going to pay life here. And what's also nice too is that depending on whether or not I need it, I can use Expedition Map also to go get Ancient Tomb to play Jace and use Jace to draw into black lands, depending on what happens in the game. We'll see how that goes. All right, Mr. Coexistence, what you up to? Oh, Imperial Seal. All right, well, I'm pretty sure he's going to be getting Mana Crypt, and I may be facing the commander next turn. But what's nice is that I can do my Expedition Map decision after I see what he does on his next turn. Ooh, Strip Mine. So there's a little temptation to kill one of his lands here early, given the fact that he just put something on top of his library. And if I kill black or green and guess right, he might be actually set back multiple turns. But I kind of decide that I want to just play an aggressive game here. I really am still testing out the Citadel, and I kind of want to play a game plan that allows me to deploy the Citadel quickly. And that means I'm not going to delay the game by strip mining kind of indiscriminately and hoping that I get lucky. So I'm just going to play Scalding Tarn here. Fully intending to probably get Urborg, possibly Ancient Tomb if he plays something really threatening on this turn that I need to deal with. Yep, so there's Sol Ring, which he obviously tutored for, but he doesn't have blue mana yet. He does have plenty of mana still anyway, though, and he casts Guardian Project. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if it doesn't have the same name. Pretty good in Commander. I mean, this is basically just draw whenever you play any creature at all that isn't a token, so pretty much anything from your hand. Pretty powerful. And with this guy, of course, it triggers twice. So he can draw 2 cards a turn off of his Guardian Project, and it's pretty powerful. All right, end of turn, I'm just going to go get blue-black mana and fetch. So bit of a crossroads here. I've got the Ancient Tomb play into Jace, but that's kind of giving up on Bolas' Citadel, at least for a few turns. If I go get Urborg, it means that I can play it 2 turns from now, and I'm kind of sure that I know what his next turn is going to be, provided that he has blue mana. And with that in mind, I kind of feel like, well, he can draw 2 cards, that's fine. I don't really want to be bouncing his commander over and over again anyway. And I kind of want to just make the Bolas' Citadel play as quickly as possible. So with that in mind, and keep in mind, of course, I could just play Jace on turn 4. I don't necessarily have to play the Citadel depending on what he's doing. And I'm kind of a little reluctant to play Bolas' Citadel on the same turn that I've played a land, because you can't really go off if you hit a land, and often you'll hit a land right away, and then there might be 3 or 4 spells underneath that you could play, and then you get really, really screwed because you played it aggressively. It's kind of the same thing with Future Sight. It's much, much better to play Future Sight on a turn when you haven't played a land yet. So that way, if you flip a land off the top of the Future Sight, you can play it and continue on your merry way. So we'll see how it goes. One nice thing about Jace is that if I do play Jace turn 4, I can set up draws so that the Citadel will automatically feed me multiple spells. So I think that's probably the game plan I'm going to go with, but I'm going to start it off with Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth anyway, since I need to fetch that regardless. And that means I can't play the Ancient Tomb, or I can't fetch the Ancient Tomb to play Jace right away. But I don't really feel like I'm under any sort of immediate pressure right now to just play Jace regardless. I missed the window of opportunity to Fate Seal his Imperial Seal card anyway. And then my deck delivers Treachery. Oh boy, we're in for some fun and games here. Just wait. All right. Back to Coexistence's turn. Damn, so he's got blue mana. And I was tempted a little bit maybe to strip mine there and kill the swamp, given that he only has green and he only has 2 cards in hand, which might delay the commander. But again, I don't really mind him playing the commander. This uses up all of his mana for multiple turns and should buy me all the time I need to bring these engines online. He gets to draw 2, thanks to Yarok. But if you notice, if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Interesting, okay. Well, that's kind of cool. All right, so crossroads here. I could play Workshop and play Bolas' Citadel right now, and he does have 4 cards in hand, but it's very likely I could just hit a land in the top card or 2, and if he has a way of dealing with the Citadel, this kind of just blunts my whole turn. I kind of feel like, as much as I would like to just play the Citadel, I don't feel like there's a big enough guarantee that it's going to just go off this turn. I am at 37, so plenty of life. I don't really feel like I'm under any pressure, and obviously I can just bounce the Yarok. So after thinking a little bit, I decide, you know what, best play here, just play the Workshop. I think it's actually a mistake to play the Workshop. I probably should have just played either Strip Mine or Verdant Catacombs, reason being that the Workshop, if he does in fact have a land destruction spell, he might kill it, and then I would lose the ability to play the Citadel for a long time. So No real reason to expose the workshop this turn. I kind of played it anyway, so I'm thinking about what to do, and I realized, okay, I'm just going to play Jace here and bounce Yarok. And this sort of allows him to play right into my hands because, of course, he will now want to recast his guy. He's probably smiling, thinking, aha, I'll just replay my guy and draw 2 more cards. Mr. Jace, and go all the way up to 7. And down comes Yarok. All right, no blue mana available. He draws 2 more. And plays Prophetic Prism, which draws 2 more cards. He's at 7. This is quite a good card with this guy in play. But my next turn might be a little better. All right. You ready for this? I draw Arcane Signet. All right, so first things first, Brainstorm with Jace. There's a land. Look at that, right off the top, too, which I would have run into with the Bolas' Citadel if I had played it last turn. I would have been able to play Arcane Signet, and then I would have gotten stuck on City of Brass, and that would have been no more fun for that turn. All right, so draw 3. Now, what would you put back, dear watcher? I'll let you guys think for a little bit. I'll give you a hint. This card's on top. Watch this insanity. All right. It's going to be Treachery and Fabricate, ultimately, is what I decided to do. All right, here we go. Bolas' Citadel hardcast. Boom. Treachery. So I'm going to play a land. Even though I know that there's a reasonable chance that I might hit a land, I feel like I have enough decadent, ridiculous things to do that I can probably get past the land anyway, because I kind of want the extra mana here. Play Treachery. Untaps 5 lands, untaps 5 lands, because it grabs this guy before the triggered effect of Treachery happens. So I actually have the Yarok in play under my control before Treachery stacks. Yep, that makes pay 5 life, generate 10 mana. Utterly insane. All right, don't mind if I do. So I get to tap more mana between the other Treachery thing. This is so ridiculous. All right, untap 5 lands. This may be one of the most powerful uses of Treachery I think I've ever seen. Certainly the most powerful use of Treachery I've ever done. Because I don't think I've ever played it with, I don't know, High Tide or Mana Flare or something. So I'm going to Fabricate immediately to go get Winter Orb. Unfortunately, there's a land there, but I do have the ability to Factor Fiction. So I'm going to play the Arcane Signet. And I'll just keep playing some stuff here. Since I got to spend the artifact mana, I'm going to just cast the Factor Fiction with the rest of my cards, or with the rest of my mana. And he's going to think for a little bit. And he gives me a land in Teferi. I'm just going to take... This is a reshuffle, which is nice, but this is effectively also a draw, which should get me past the land. It's just a more powerful effect. And unfortunately, there's a land on top. Way to ruin my fun deck. All right, I'm going to bounce his Soul Ring. There's a Coalition Relic, which I can cast for 3 life, and cast Ponder for 1. And unfortunately, there's 2 more land and a Talisman, and even as much as I would like to have the Talisman on top that I could cast for 2, I decided it's probably better to take my chances and just roll. And reshuffle, I mean. So I reshuffle, there's a stupid scrub land on top, but my hand is now full. And, yeah, I'm just going to tap those 2, cast Winter Orb, and I've got a Strip Mine ready to go untapped for whatever land he untaps. And I have Crucible. And I still have Bolas' Citadel along with Jace the Mind Sculptor. And, yeah, Coexistence has seen enough of that. We are certainly not coexisting. Totally insane, totally decadent. Bolas' Citadel just does ridiculous things. I mean, it's Necro and gain 1 million mana all at the same time. The card has crazy, crazy potential in this deck, and I think it may have found a permanent place in the Breya deck. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more crazy shenanigans with that. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. If you were interested in the current version of the Breya deck, feel free to email me, brianweissman88@gmail.com, and I always send deck lists through email rather than posting them publicly. You know my policy about that. But happy to give away the deck list via email, and hope to have more games to record. I actually, among the 10 games that I did play earlier today, about 3 or 4 of them were good, but this was the only one where the replay actually didn't malfunction halfway through. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you enjoyed that. More to come. See you later.